Welcome back to Clickity-Clack Attack, the YouTube television video game show where you try to listen to a person's GameCube controller clicking, but some asshole keeps talking over it, therefore ruining the experience. We have a new chapter today, and this is where the other major gameplay system of Eternal Darkness will come into focus. This is where we will start to learn magic and start putting together magical runes. Oh yeah, there's a Gladius on the wall over here we never picked up. We don't need to worry about that just yet. We need to take this Gladius, for sure. An ancient Roman weapon, a Gladius, is on display above the fireplace mantle. Another token of eclectic junk. Alex has acquired the eclectic junk. Let's go ahead and equip that. Even though there's no monsters in the mansion for a long time, it's time to read Suspicions of Conspiracy.
From my research, it is apparent that the endeavors of mankind are mere puppetry at the hands of the ancients.
I almost wish I had a little microphone on my actual Wii over there, because the disk drive in the Wii is super loud.
Under the auspices of Emperor
I don't know if it's always been that way, or if it's just a decade of playing games on it, but
was at the height of its power.
And here we go to my favorite location in the game, the Cathedral at Amiens. We go to this place a couple of times with a couple different characters. And this gray-skinned, pallid, just obviously already dead person
no one but him must see it.
Gives Anthony a super secret message for Emperor Charlemagne. And so, of course, Anthony, being the Weasley little devil that he is... Not 10 seconds goes by before he's like, you know what, I gotta see. Well, what do we got in here? Nudies of Charlemagne? Oh, God!
What sorcery is this? A spell? I am bewitched. If this was meant for Charlemagne, then what will become of him? I have to warn him of this.
Nothing now that you've eaten the trap for him. Like, good job, Anthony. And an order of monks lives here in the temple, or the cathedral, or whatever this is. What do we have? Just a message scroll, and that's it. But, if we come into this coffin that's just laying right here in the middle of the cathedral in front of God and all these monks, a funeral casket made from unfinished wood. It is not properly sealed and could probably be opened. Should Anthony kick open the casket in complete disrespect for the dead? Yes, he should.
Oh my God, what is it? This devil's work. We should get out of here.
That's what that smell was the past 2 weeks.
Feared the most. This poor man has been the victim of great.
I do love how they credit Anthony for uncovering
his body has been defiled,
this
as if something has burst out
this
from
devilry.
Here,
when any of the
take
monks
this
can
for
just
your
walk by the
protection.
coffin and open it up.
And find the bishop. He must be informed of this horrible discovery.
So as far as I can tell... Oh, did you notice that each location has a different little musical sound effect for when you pick up an item? As far as I can tell, this man, peering inside the casket, Anthony sees the body of a monk. His raiment is that of his order, stained with blood that has seeped from the many grievous wounds. It is truly a disturbing sight. We do find out what killed this guy later. And he must have died and fallen into the coffin, and then the coffin closed on top of him. That must have been what happened here. Because there's no other explanation that really makes sense. Muffled voices emanate from inside the bishop's visiting chamber. However, the door is locked, and Anthony will need the bishop's key to enter and gain audience with Charlemagne. When we learn later how that bishop died, you'll see what I mean. It doesn't make sense for, Uh-oh. What's this warbly teleportation nonsense? Ooh, Anthony's already looking a little sickly. As we find ourselves in the Hall of Statues. Which I think is a little cute, because it actually has a map for the area, the Hall of Statues. And we examine the statues, and here's Pius Augustus, who is just a pair of legs. And Elia, who actually hasn't died yet. Her chapter takes place, I think, in the 1100s. So, and Anthony is a couple hundred years before that. So, this hallway kind of exists out of time, which is interesting. Cradled in what appears to be a leathery hand lies a mysterious book. It is bound in human skin and intricately decorated with shrunken bones. It beckons and yearns to be possessed, and the ground is screaming. Alright, so Anthony now possesses the Tome of Eternal Darkness. And this is the item you need to have in your inventory in order to do spell casting. Which is not going to be... was not important for Pius or Elia, but will become important for Anthony. Ugh. Also, like some Noxzema or something would not go amiss, my friend. A blue urn rests upon the shelf. Not for long. Alright, let's use the blue urn. While fumbling around, the urn slips from Anthony's stiff fingers, dashing itself to fragments as it hits the floor. And now we have a broken blue urn and a magical rune. Now, this is the blue rune, but instead of the game saying, hey, Anthony gets the blue rune here, where's our magic? Here we go. This is the blue alignment rune, which we don't know what it is yet or what it does. But instead of the game being hard-coded and saying, hey, Anthony gets the blue rune here, what it actually says is something like, Anthony gets the weak rune here. A mysterious gold medallion rests upon the desk. Circle of Power. So now we can make what's called 3-point spells. A spell consists essentially of one of the alignment runes, and we don't have any other runes, but there are verb runes, there are noun runes, and then there's one special rune which we will not worry about until much, much later. I called this the weak alignment rune. Amongst the tomes and manuscripts, the book brings attention to itself. Oddly pristine on the dusty shelf, it doesn't quite belong. Should Anthony move the book? Yup. I called the blue rune the weak rune. There are 3 alignment runes, green, red, and blue, but in addition to thinking them in terms of color and what they do, you could also think of them in terms of what they mean for Pius's Ancient One. Pius's Ancient One is green, and we will eventually get a green alignment rune. So you could think of the green alignment rune as Pius's rune for this playthrough. The 3 alignments also, they don't exist in a vacuum. They exist in a in balance with each other. I was afraid of this happening. Come here, you. Oh, I didn't get a chance to finish that one off. This one I'll finish off, though. But green is strong against blue in this game. So in general, that means like green monsters will do extra damage to blue monsters. Green spells will do extra damage to blue monsters. Green beats blue. So when I have the blue rune, I'm calling it the weak rune because it's weak to Pius's rune. There's also a strong rune. The red rune in this playthrough is going to be the strong one because it beats Pius's rune. Red beats green. So in every playthrough, you're always going to get the weak rune first, and then Pius's rune, and then the strong rune last. So red is our strong rune. We're going to get that last. And I mentioned that this does make the game a little harder in certain places, and the reason it makes the game a little bit harder is because your healing spell keys off of that red rune. So we're going to get the healing spell late in the game. Later than I would have if I had chosen either of the other runes. In fact, I now have a torch. Grateful for his life, the monk tells Anthony what happened. He was carrying a sacred urn from the baptismal font when he was confronted by the bishop, who was brandishing a large blade and whose eyes burned with an evil fire. Frightened, the monk dropped the urn and ran off in shock. Returning to retrieve the urn, he found only the sword and the bishop he had left behind. With thanks, he gives the bishop's sword to Anthony. If you let these zombies kill that monk, you don't get the double-edged sword. Oh, I have to actually equip this so I can see what I'm doing. And if you don't get the double-edged sword here, it actually does not appear later either. In future chapters that come back to Amiens, you cannot get the double-edged sword. So we'll mix a piece of a green urn with another piece of a green urn to get 2/3 of a broken green urn, and then we will mix 2/3 of a broken green urn with a piece of green urn to get a broken green urn. So now we have a broken blue urn and a broken green urn, and we're going to get the sword back out, because sword is awesome. And we're about to get our next rune. Now this is called a codex. This just tells you what one of the runes do. So we kind of have a hodgepodge of things here. We've got the Circle of Power, which we need to craft spells. We've got an alignment rune that we don't actually know is an alignment rune yet. We have this mysterious rune, which we don't know what it does. And then we've got the codex for Magormor, the item rune. But we don't actually have the rune, just the codex. So we know what it does, but we haven't found it yet. But we see that there's a monster here that has a rune inside of him. And when you kill a monster with a rune inside of him, you get the magical rune. Finish him, Anthony. So now we have this rune, and this rune, and we have the Magormor rune, which we know is the item rune. So we can actually start crafting spells. Something something alignment, something something this rune, something something Magormor. We've just discovered spell 1. And we'll eventually get a scroll telling us what spell 1 is. And actually, I'm going to assign spell 1 at level 3 of this alignment to that button, just so I have it. And now I can just quick cast it on my sword to get an enchanted sword. Beautiful. And of course that uses up a bit of magic meter. But this is actually the enchant item spell, we will find out, which we can use to enchant items or repair broken items. And this is the only spell that Anthony will be able to get in his chapter. He's not able to craft any other spells because the only runes he finds are for these spells here. Moving on. So we have a blue sword, and blue beats red. So any red monsters we find, we can kill pretty easily with this sword. Let you guys duke it out for a second. Oh, hi there, buddy. I mean, we're going to do extra damage to any kinds of monsters, but red monsters in particular will take extra damage from a blue enchanted sword. Here is the codex for the Ūļāth rune, and now we can see if we go in the Ūļāth rune. Ūļāth is our weak ancient one, because Xel'lotath is stronger than Ūļāth. Ūļāth is stronger than the red ancient. The red ancient is stronger than Xel'lotath. So they give you the weak rune first, to just kind of introduce you to this magic system. A disturbing rendition of a monstrous devil. It is contorted into what appears to be a fountain. What sickly liquid is draining into the pool, trickling from a scum-encrusted spout? Don't know, but I need to fill up this blue urn. Dunking the urn into the foul-smelling fountain, it becomes filled to the brim with rank fluid. It is a lot heavier now and rife with fetor. And we'll fill up this green urn. Something something fetter. Got it. And in it, so in addition to just like right now, they're in this chapter and the next chapter, they kind of just teach you, hey, here's how magic works. This is kind of what you can do with magic. After the next chapter, we're going to get the strong... Next chapter, we're going to get Pius's rune, and the chapter after that, we're going to get the strong rune. So then we'll have all 3 alignment runes. And then it kind of becomes, okay, you kind of understand how to craft spells and how to make magic. Now you have to make sure you know which alignments have effects on other alignments, so when you're casting spells, you can make the correct decision for which alignment to use. But we're not quite that far along the magic system yet. Right now we're at, here's all the components for spell crafting. On the floor here is another codex. This is the ᴜʟᴏ rune. And here sitting on the table is the enchant item spell scroll. So, we don't actually need codexes and spell scrolls to cast spells. Oh, it's going to make us assign a quick spell here. This is like our spell tutorial. Okay, but you can see now if you don't have the codex, the rune doesn't light up. It doesn't tell you the name of it. So enchant item, you can think of it ᴜʟᴏ So project item is your enchant item. You're projecting magic into an item, and that appears on the spell list. There are 12 spells. There's 3 across and 4 down. And with the scroll, it actually identifies the spell for you. This is as far as Anthony goes. But as you've seen, we don't actually need the spell scroll in order to create a spell. We can just, although the urn appears to sit correctly in place on the pressure plate, it does not appear to be heavy enough to depress it. No problem. We got 3 more, or 2 more urns where that came from. Just by playing around with spell runes that you pick up, you can create spells much, much earlier than you find the scrolls for them. So we're going to get 1 more spell in the next chapter. And then in chapter 5, we'll have enough, we'll find scrolls for, I think, 2 spells, but runes enough to make 4 more. And then the following chapter, we're going to find enough runes to make every spell in the game. So by the halfway point in the game,
You have come to it.
you're able to craft every spell if you want.
Very well then. For your efforts, I promise a quick and merciful death.
I don't know, man. I got a really big glowing sword. I think I can handle this situation. I got the bishop's key. Oh, this guy's gonna hug me from behind, isn't he? Nope. All of them were down for the count. Farewell, bishop. A shrine to a god that bespeaks of an ancient evil that graced the earth before mankind walked its valleys. Oh, my sword ran out of juice. You have to stay put. You have to stay in one place while you are casting a spell. If you move, the spell fails. Ugh, Anthony. Looking kind of gross here, brother. I could get out my torch and just set these guys on fire. What fun is that? This sword is so powerful. 2 good overhand swipes can put these guys on the ground as it is. One for the head, 1 for the torso, and then go in for the finish him. Now we have the bishop's key. All we have to do is get out of here and save Charlemagne. So, I mean, Anthony starts out the chapter as kind of weaselly bastard. Oh, is this a trapper? Yeah. I think the only thing we can do is actually get hit by this guy. Trappers send you to the Trapper Dimension, which it's going to tutorialize for a second here. It basically just sends you to this map with these warp points. And what's interesting is the purple, when it glows purple, that's the exit. So if it turns purple, that sends you directly to the exit. Any other color sends you to a different part of the level, which has a purple portal, which will go to the exit, but one of these magic pools that you can stand on and refill the appropriate statistics. So that filled my sanity all the way up. Anthony is as sane as he's ever going to be thanks to that green pool. So if you're low on health or magic, you can use trappers to your benefit. I was talking about Anthony being a Weasley bastard. He starts the chapter out as kind of a Weasley bastard, but at the end here, like, he knows he's done for. Trappers have no eyes, but can sense sound very well. If Anthony can sneak past them, they won't be trouble. So let's sneak past them, because I don't want to go back to the Trapper dimension. See ya! Anthony knows he's done. He knows that there's no hope for him. But he has all the tools and all the evidence he needs to save Charlemagne now. That's all that matters to him. Maybe he's not a Weasley bastard. Maybe that's why he opened the scroll to begin with. His loyalty to Charlemagne is such that, hey, if there's bewitchment on this scroll, I want it to hit me and not my man, the Frank. I want Frank to be okay. Ugh. I know, Anthony, it's rough. Ugh, gross. You look even worse than the guy that handed you the scroll to begin with. Maybe the scroll always discharges its magic anytime it changes hands, and that's why the first guy looked pallid. We gotta re-up the sword here, because we're about to meet our next kind of monster. In this room here. Here he is. It's the big guy. I forget what alignment he is, though. Oh, green. Okay. This is a horror. He has 3 heads and discharges magic all over the place. And we're going to beat him up just by getting right into him here. Having no regard for Anthony's health pool and just chopping him up. And I think this is why they start you with the weak rune. So you fight the first horror without any advantages as far as extra damage being dealt. But man, they're worth a whole bunch of sanity if you kill one and use your finisher on him. Sorry, Anthony. You're almost there. Just a few more zombies. Love the reach on this sword, too. Not everybody has a melee weapon as good as this. Some characters don't start with melee weapons at all. And then some characters get really terrible ones. Alright, let's pop out our Bishop's Key. Charlemagne, it's okay! Oh. I mean... they got him anyway.
Trying to save him, Anthony. His fate was decided many.
And now the mystery of what killed the previous monk will be revealed to us.
World. Despite your faith, there is little to save you from the power of Zealot.
That's a bone thief. Bone thieves are instant game overs if they climb into your skin and take you over. The idea is they ride around in people to perform those tasks which the Ancient Ones require people to do. And this is the other reason that makes the Xelatoth playthrough more difficult. Also, because Anthony learned Enchant Item, Alex knows Enchant Item, and we can... oh, we have to break the second floor key first. I'm getting ahead of myself. There's banging at the door, but don't worry, nobody's actually at the door. Nobody's actually out there. Later we'll hear like the phone ring and stuff. It's a whole thing. We actually have to go up here and try to use this key. And it'll break. And then we can repair it. and go to the upstairs bedroom. And this time Alex will be super careful and not break the key. And then there's this friggin' guy. Ugh, creepy. Is this the right way? This is the bedroom I want to go to? I don't actually remember. One of these doors. We got some revolver ammunition, even though we don't have any ammo yet. This is the locked dresser. One of the drawers in the dresser curiously has no keyhole. In its place is a magical triangular design flanked by a magical symbol. That means nothing to us yet. I think we need the other bedroom. This isn't a sanity effect. This guy just do this. That's just how he do. A lot of the relics and things that are laying around the mansion actually... here's some more ammo. We'll find later on in the game throughout the chapters, as Alex's grandfather has been a collector and connoisseur of these items throughout the years. But that, my friends, is going to bring us to the end of our session today. We're going to save the game here, and I will see you next time we play Eternal Darkness, Clickity-Clackety-Clack. Shoutouts to Nourish'em for sponsoring this video, and to everybody who helps make my channel possible by supporting me on Patreon.